Your Views, My Facts, begins in 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? This is Thomas John with Your Views and My Facts. We're going to be doing a short interview with old Rich, who's been on the episode multiple times before. This way, everybody can try to get to know him and know what he's about. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, any podcast application app that you can download. Just search for us at Views and Facts. Like us, share us, review. Leave us any comments, any questions you may have for us, any potential topics, and we will look at them and hopefully maybe pull one out and give you guys what you guys want to hear. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce Rich to you. So Rich, say hello. Let us know where you're from, what you're about. Give us a little short bio.
What up, what up? Hey, so I'm from California. I've lived throughout the state. Also lived in Oregon and Washington for a little bit. And then during my military time period, I also was in Texas for a little bit. But ideally, I'm into a lot of different things. I like sports. I like music, movies, lots of entertainment. Really into politics, civics. That's what I'm going to school for right now. And then hoping to continue doing public service in some way.
How old are you?
28.
28. Just a couple years younger than me.
Indeed.
Where were you born, Rich?
This little town called Santa Maria, California. So it's in San Luis Obispo County, which is along the coast. And it's about 15 minutes from Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Okay, so southern.
Yep, central. It's legitimately considered Central Coast. Southern's
Central.
Southern's pretty much anything from like Santa Barbara down, but the Central Coast is anything from Santa Barbara up to, I don't know, like Monterey.
How long did you live there?
I actually never lived there. I spent my summers there because my grandparents owned a beach house in Pismo for a little bit, and then they also had a house in Orchid, which is a little like old town. But excluding that, I actually never lived there. I lived throughout the state, but I was just simply born there because my mom had me when she was still in high school. And then my dad had just started working at Foot Lockers down there in Santa Maria.
All right, so where did you primarily grow up then?
I don't really have like a primary like residence, I guess.
A nomad.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say, I just say, I'm a Californian just because I went to high school in the Central Valley, and that's like Tracy, Stockton area. But I was only there for like 5 years, and I've actually lived the longest up here, which is Rockland, Roseville, Lincoln.
Okay.
I would actually say Placer County is sort of my home.
Yeah, about 30 minutes north of, 15 minutes north of Sacramento. Then.
Exactly, yeah. And so I've been here longer than I have anywhere else, as an adult especially.
Okay. Do you have any nicknames?
My mom and dad call me Ricky. Most of my friends just call me Rich. So
You've got a fiance now.
I do.
Does she have a nickname for you?
You know, she actually really mixes it up. She, if it's just her and I, she calls me Toots.
Okay.
But if we're around my family, she tends to adopt Rich or Ricky.
Okay. Interesting. Did you have a favorite sport growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I probably enjoyed playing basketball the most. But watching, I think football has always been my favorite sport to watch.
Were you good playing basketball?
Yeah, I was pretty good. I was pretty good in high school. Sort of sucked prior to that, but high school I balled out a lot, and actually even now I still play basketball twice a week if possible.
But there was no college aspirations or professional?
No, man, I'm 5'9".
Oh, okay.
You know, and not to mention I didn't have that kind of skill set.
Okay, so enjoyed playing basketball, loved to watch football. Favorite team?
I'm a Niner fan, so I sort of adopted the Niners as I became an adult. Prior to that, I didn't really have a team. My dad wanted me to be a Raider fan, but I actually find most Raider fans to be scumbags for the most part, to be honest. I've been to a couple of the games, and I don't think I fit in within that crowd. And then a lot of my friends were Niner fans, and it was easy for me to, sort of like the aspects of that Niner organization. Very classy for a time period, at least. Granted, they did let that fucker Kaepernick continue to play after all his kneeling, but
yeah.
Excluding that, it's always been a classy organization.
Well, at least you chose a team that's actually in the state that you were born and from. Oh,
yeah, I don't have any sports teams that are not within the state that I follow. I'm a Sharks fan for hockey. Baseball, initially I was born Central Coast, so we're all pretty much Dodger fans. And then if you're a Dodger fan, you're a Laker fan. So I grew up hardcore Laker fan, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant.
Okay, so you have not attended college then?
No, I have college.
Oh, you have attended college.
Yeah, no, I go to William Jessup University here in Rockland, and actually prior to that, I attended a junior college in Livermore, California, called Las Positas College.
What are you getting your degree in?
Public policy.
Public policy. Can you elaborate on that?
So it's still the study of political science, but political science is the theory behind politics and how society needs politics. Public policy is how do we implement the laws and what impact the laws have.
All right, so you enjoy politics then?
Yeah.
What has been the most significant political event in your life?
I mean, if we're looking at it, I would probably say either the fall of the Soviet Union, which gave America obviously the top seed in the world as far as being the superpower of the world, or I guess September 11th, which completely changed the dynamic of what life is like as an American and just overall what global terrorism looks like and how to combat it.
Do you think that with the fall then of the fall of the Soviet Empire and terrorism and so forth, has there been a distinct change in the current political and or social atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very in-depth question that you're asking. If you're looking at it from a domestic perspective, it is far different because in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, there was a theory that because we had so much that we had to face on the outside, aka not in domestic America, it was easy to unite domestic America against a common enemy, right? So the Soviet Union, the communists, the Ruskies, were everything that we were not going to be. So like a lot of social ideology or identity issues that America had was sort of put on the back burner. And with the fall of the Soviet Union, you actually see a lot more gridlock from 89 on, because now we no longer have a large enemy abound, so we're now focusing on our domestic issues. And ideally, obviously, all the domestic issues range from Congress not being effective all the way up to some social issues that need to be expanded on.
If you had to choose an era to live in, which era would it be?
I'd probably have the most fun in the 1980s, but being a wholesome 28-year-old adult, I'd probably say like the 1950s and 60s. I think the music was still excellent, and you could still instill good morals for both the individual and for the state.
Okay, now you're a big fan of like the like Roman history and so forth, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. If we're not looking at like an American history piece, it would probably be either ancient Rome. I'd love to have been a senator probably during the Republic, so before Julius Caesar became dictator. Or if I wasn't going to do that time period, I would love to have seen probably like the time period where Europe is moving from feudalism to absolute monarchy. And at that point, just seeing how like the lords have to submit to the absolute king and sort of that paradigm or that dynamic.
Interesting. I would love to be there and watching all the fights, all the gladiators.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, man. I mean, you know, I think the armor, I think the fighting style is very interesting, and I think the idea that you have to intertwine faith with politics is a very interesting concept that we as Americans don't understand today because we don't deal with it. But they had to deal with obviously from like 1250 on till like 1600.
I agree with that. What do you currently do?
Currently, I am in the military reserve. So I serve in a reserve capacity for the Air Force, and I am a remotely piloted aircraft operator for camera.
Why'd you decide to serve?
I always actually wanted to serve. I was going to join the Marine Corps actually at 18, and then my parents were like, oh, let's hold off on that. Why don't you attend college for a little bit? So I did a year of college, and I was working at Comcast. I was making good money at Comcast, and then they saw that the recession was still going to be in effect, so they laid our office off. And at that point, it was like, well, I'm not really doing much in high school. I mean, in college right now, and I don't have like a backup that's going to be able to pay me what Comcast is paying me. So this might be the opportunity for me to enlist. And I had went down to the recruiter actually with my younger sister because she wanted to enlist, and I wanted to make sure she didn't get screwed over. And after talking to them, I was like, I was still on the fence about the Marine Corps just because when I was talking to them about growth and expectations, they really didn't highlight that. It was more of like, hey, you get to kill people. And I'm like, well, that's dope. But I was looking for more expansive growth opportunity. And the Air Force was like, yeah, we really do push education. You know, here's the benefits of being an Air Force member. and this will get you out of California. So I was like, okay, let me enlist. After I went through the contract, it made sense. I enlisted, so I left at 20 years old, and lo and behold, after going to Texas for technical training, I came back to California for my duty station.
All right, so if I'm doing the math correctly, then you've been in for approximately 8 years?
Yeah, almost 8. 8 will be March.
Have you ever served in another country?
I've been TDY.
You've been TDY? Can you say where and or why?
Most of it was for training purposes.
Okay.
Location, probably not so much.
Have you done any combat?
No, not at all.
No combat. What has been the most difficult aspect about military life for you? Whether from the mundane to the serious?
I would say the biggest thing is the military, like any other government entity, is not an efficient entity, right? And for me, I'm very limited government to begin with, but I'm very into business efficiency and trying to, if you're going to do something, there needs to be a reason for why you're doing it. And if there's a better way to do it, we should look at a better way, not just the way that it's always been. And the military is very much set where it's like, hey, here's the different aspects administratively of what we do. And then when I ask, hey, like, why do we do this? The answers are very vague. And I think there's a lot of processes that are not needed, but that we just maintain because somebody created it at some point.
All right. What's been your most fondest memory?
I got to go TDY to Guam. That was a pretty good time. I got to go with my unit, and I had never seen like a tropical island like that before. And so it was definitely interesting to be in the humidity, be on the island, get an idea of what like that lifestyle is like outside of doing CONUS jobs, right? And then
CONUS means what?
CONUS means like domestic United States military work.
Okay.
And then I'd say outside of that, I did take some imagery back in 2011 for the nuclear reactor meltdown, and that imagery ended up making its way to Secretary Clinton. Not a huge fan of her, but obviously the office is excellent. So,
I was really hoping that you were going to say Continental United States for CONUS, but
oh yeah, that's what it stands for.
Well, some people don't know.
Okay.
I was just trying to help out the masses. All right, so it was a good fondest memory. How about the exact opposite? Saddest or worst memory, or most upsetting?
Actually, in my military career, I've actually had a lot of them that have been upsetting. Probably one that resonates with me is actually in Texas. I was going through technical training, and I was at a hotel off base for my 21st birthday. And a couple doors down, there were some other military members present, and these individuals actually were doing like hard drugs, and they were doing it in the hotel room. So when investigators and police officers like broke in or busted into their room, they were notified that just a couple doors down was other military members. So I also got arrested by the investigative officers, and my squadron commander drove down, picked me up, and then I went and got blood tested to see if I had anything in me. And I gave them my story. Yeah, I had no idea who those members were. I had nothing to do with any of the drugs. Like, I'm not into drugs at all. Like, if you are, that's on you. But ideally, I went through manual labor for 30 days without actually being charged with anything or actually having any true evidence against me other than me being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And after the 30 days, which they had pulled me out of training and had me do manual labor, they had notified me that I was found like not to have any evidence against me. So I was released from the mandatory labor and sent back to class. So I extended my time in training, and it was just rough because obviously people looked at me weird going into, until it was proven innocent. So I think that sort of stuck with me for sure. And that was sort of a negative aspect, but I didn't let it get to me as far as my career work.
Man, that is horrible. All right. What is your opinion on war as a means to resolve conflict?
I mean, it's got to be a last resort. When it comes to foreign policy, for instance, the United States has military as a way to flex, but the United States having the dollar as the currency of the world has a economic means to also flex, and we have a lot of control at UN levels and whatnot. So there's definitely other opportunities for us to control the international relations area without having to use military force. I think ensuring that our military force is ready and able is essential. So having everybody trained, having the assets and people ready to deploy and conduct themselves as professionals is essential. But actually sending troops into combat is got to be a last resort option. American lives are too important for us just to send off.
I agree with that. What has been the most important war or fault?
World War II.
Why?
It's the only war that you can say there was good versus evil. In World War II, you literally have the Nazi Reich and you have the Japanese Empire deciding that they want to carve up the rest of the world. And without America entering on the Western Front to aid Britain and really to also apply pressure as far as giving Russia a chance to properly deploy their troops, I think it was essential for us to join that war. It was only a matter of time before the U.S. was going to join because Hitler had to be stopped.
One might argue then if you're going to choose that war, that before that was the Revolutionary War.
No, that's true. I mean, if we're looking at it from that perspective, the Revolution or the Civil War would fall into it just because I actually see a connection between the two. The Revolution is essential for us to actually have a free country. We are the first country to ever have a quick cut from its actual government and to start a revolutionary government of representation, right?
Right.
And then really the Civil War, 87 years later, is the completion of what our founding fathers wanted. You know, like slavery was not something that most of the framers of the Constitution or the founders wanted, but it was something that it was a necessary evil that they had to accept at that time, just because you needed at least 9 states to ratify the government document. And so like they knew that this was hopefully something we were going to deal with at some point. I don't think they ever expected us to go to war over it, but the Civil War was absolutely needed to make a better union. So like Abraham Lincoln completed what the framers of the Constitution hoped to complete.
All right, so you have a fiance. Do you have any children?
No kids. I got some, fur babies. I got 2 cats and 2 dogs, so it's a very wild house of animals.
What are their names?
I got Leo. He's my 6-year-old Australian Shepherd Husky. And then I have Indiana, who is my 2.5-year-old Husky Labrador. And then I have Leia, Princess Leia. She's our cat. She's 2.5 years old.
Okay.
And then we just adopted Bobby Newport, named after the Parks and Rec show. Paul Rudd's on there. And he's, I think, 12 weeks right now.
Okay.
We got him from a rescue.
Oh, that's very sweet of you.
Indeed.
All right, what was your first job?
I was initially for 2 days I worked at Safeway, and I was like a bagger.
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. And then I had applied at Foot Locker, and I had interviewed at Foot Locker, and I was going to make more money at Foot Locker, and there was a commission incentive for me to go there. So after 2 days, I quit, and I went over to Foot Locker. And then I spent a year there at Foot Locker.
All right, worst job?
Tax collector.
Ooh, why was that your worst job?
Just because you're talking to individuals and you're telling them that they owe money, and you either get somebody very combative on the phone to tell you to fuck off, or you get the story on why they can't pay their debt. And like as a tax collector, like you can listen to them, but in the end, you have to have like no heart. You have to be like, "Yep, I get it, but this shit's got to get paid."
That's true. That is very true.
Like if you don't pay it, more than likely we're going to find a way to take it from you.
Okay, let's move on to all right, some other potentially maybe more interesting things. Not saying that has been interesting, but going on to some things that you probably have some fun with. So, what's something that people find most interesting about you?
I think people were shocked at how detailed I am. Like I have a really, really good memory. So like people are always amazed when I'm like, yeah, like I can remember the name of this episode from this season of Game of Thrones, or like, hey, I remember this from this episode of How I Met Your Mother, or hey, I remember you were telling me this in the car. We were driving it somewhere, and you told me this in the car. Or like, I might be having a drink with you at a bar. You tell me a story about how you're going to divorce your wife after a McDonald's trip, and I remember that, and it ends up on a podcast. So I think people are really amazed at my memory for the most part. And outside of that, when I tell people that I'm into politics, I think some people are extremely interested just because civics isn't taught very well in America, so they want to know more. Or the fact that I'm a young Latino and I'm a Republican, I think is always the biggest shocker to them. Because like especially in California, they've been taught that like if you're a minority, like it's blasphemous to not be a Democrat in the state. And so then when I explain to them why I'm a Republican, they're always sort of shocked and they're willing to listen. And then it's either they listened and they're like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. Or they're like, oh, this is like Fox News brainwashing you. And I'm like, I don't get to watch that kind of TV. I don't even have cable. So...
Oh, there you go. All right, so in your short 28 years that you've been on this earth, Do you have a positive and or a negative life experience, one that just pops out in front of you besides what you just mentioned about the drug bust issue? I said positive or negative.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is I grew up quickly. My mom had lupus growing up, and because she had lupus, she was sick.
Could you explain what that is? Just
so it's a disease that basically attacks the immune system.
Okay.
And it's a hereditary disease. And what happens is the white blood cells or the red blood cells will see your white blood cells, your immune blood cells, as something toxic or foreign. And so, like, the white blood cells that you need to keep yourself from being sick get killed off. And oftentimes it also messes with your blood platelet levels. So basically, like, you become sick very often, and some of your organs also, like, tend to not function the way they're supposed to. And so my mom got diagnosed with that back in 1999, I want to say. And it became more of an issue in 2001, 2002. So because I have 3 younger siblings, I had to, like, really raise them and help her. And my sister, when she got old enough, also helped out a lot too. But I think that had a large impact on me just because I seen her struggle. She ended up having a seizure back when I was in 8th grade or freshman year of high school. I can't remember. She had a seizure, and I was there witnessing that. And then she had a stroke. Actually, my first year in the military, she ended up having a stroke. So she's been through a lot, but she's always recovered. And I think that's been a really big test of, like, faith for my family. There's definitely times where it's like, why are these things happening? But if my mom, who also is still very faithful to God, can still believe in God after everything that's happened, like, I'm the last person to say that things can't happen because of God.
Okay, and so and I mean, your mom's doing.
Yeah, she's good. My parents now live in Colorado.
Okay.
They decided to leave California because they hate it here.
Perfect.
And so yeah, she's doing good. She's got 2 German Shepherds, and then my dad's pretty busy with work, but she deals with it. She'll have to take medication the rest of her life, but she deals with it as she can.
Well, bless her heart. All right, what's the funniest thing that's happened to you?
Funniest thing?
Yeah,
that's happened to me. I don't know. What like? Can you elaborate a little bit on that question?
I mean, something that whether a lot of people had, I guess maybe laughed at you about, something funny, not maybe being any malicious towards you, but I don't know, jumping into a pool and your swim trunks fell off, or just something on those those lines.
I could think of maybe 2 things. I remember I was waiting to leave. I was in DEP, which is a delayed entry program for the military. Okay. And while I was waiting in DEP, my friends were like, "Hey, we need to party every weekend before you leave." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's go ham." Because I wasn't expecting to come back to Cali, and I didn't want to come back to Cali, to be honest. So one night we were drinking real hard. I mean, real hard. And so I per se was not indulging in some of the other items that people were, but I had told my friend, like, "Hey, do you know what a strikeout is?" And he had highlighted, yeah, he knew what it was. So I said, "Hey, if you can do this," and basically the big thing was he was playing beer pong, but he wasn't drinking any of the alcohol. He was putting it in a separate cup next to him. And I was like, no, that's bullshit. Like, now you have a full cup. And I was like, "So here's the deal. I'll make you a bet. If you do a strikeout," and I explained to him what the strikeout was, "and you can complete the strikeout at the end, I will strip down naked and I will run around this is on a farm. Like, there's a bunch of people partying, right? But this is on a farm." I was like, "I will open the gate with the goats and I will run with the goats at nighttime." And so my friend was like, "Oh, dude, you're on." And to be honest with you, he did not complete the strikeout. He started vomiting at the very end, but I felt so bad that he conducted most of it that I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just do it anyways." So I completely stripped down. And then what was hilarious is my friends, like all their girlfriends were, like, ready to videotape me. So I was like, okay, like, shit. I mean, you guys are a little more excited than I think you guys should be with your significant others here. But yeah, so they videotaped me running around with goats naked outside the farm. And I don't back down from a bet, so I did it.
Are any of those videos still out there?
I'm sure they are. I mean, this was back when, like, people first started getting HD cameras, so, like, I'm sure there's, like, 1 or 2 out there.
Oh man, look, if anybody has this on camera, you got to get it to me. Find me on Facebook and get me this video. I would love to have that. Okay. What do you have any accomplishment that you are most proud of? Or is everything that you do you're proud of?
I wouldn't say that. I guess there's nothing like in particular that I can say that I'm satisfied with right now in life. I'm very happy that I'm with my fiance. We broke up for a little over a year, and I didn't think we were going to get back together. And I think the biggest accomplishment there was that even after the amount of time had went by and we were no longer together, we were able to realize that we both wanted to be back together. So outside of that, I don't really have any accomplishments. Like, I mean, I look at like my military career and people are like, oh, you've done a wonderful job. And I'm like, but it's not over yet. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to call that an accomplishment. I graduate in April from college, but I'm not ready to call that an accomplishment yet. I think that'll be the first time I feel like I've accomplished like something legitimately and finished it. Will probably be that. But I hope that my accomplishments are still to come. Like I'm hoping that I can eventually like serve in an unelected capacity, whether it's a House of Representative member, a Senate member, etc. Or I know I will feel accomplished if I impact the lives of people around me or the lives of animals that need homes.
Got it. Whose biggest fan are you? Celebrity, real life, dead, alive?
Biggest fan? I mean, I'd probably say like my parents.
Okay.
Definitely my parents. My dad, like we actually struggled. We were definitely like in poverty until I was probably in like 6th, 7th grade. So the first like 12 years of life, my dad had to take on 2-3 jobs and he was never really home. And then, my mom struggled to be an at-home mom that was sick. And I would say me and my family still got all the love and attention we needed. Like there was always food on the table. There was always a house over our head. And I know my parents had to pay a cost to ensure that lifestyle, as far as of not worrying about whether food was going to be on the table, was there. But we definitely lived in very ghetto areas growing up. We'd have like break-ins. We'd have people arrested in our backyards, helicopters overhead overnight, like all night long, to be honest with you. And then when we moved to Northern California, Central Valley, it gave my dad a chance to start earning a higher wage, and he was able to use that money to ensure that me and my siblings got better educations and got some of the items that really are privileged to those in the suburb community.
Okay, who is your biggest fan?
Probably my parents. It's very like I talk to my dad twice a week, and he doesn't forget to tell me that he's proud of me, whether it's good or whether I'm struggling through things. He's like, it's gonna be okay. Same thing with my mom. I think I can never really disappoint her. She's always like, it's you're always going to be something exceptional to me. I'd probably say like my grandfather who passed away in 2013. He was probably my biggest fan.
Yeah.
I could literally do no wrong, and I think because he had one son, but he wanted to have more kids and he never had kids.
Yeah.
My grandfather viewed me as like that piece that he was longing for, and I got to literally grow up with him. So like I had no regrets there.
Well, I'm glad that you switched it to your grandfather, because your parents were just telling me the other day that they're my biggest fan.
Oh, is that what they said? Okay.
I'm just kidding. What do you like to do in your spare time, Rich?
Right now I don't have a lot of spare time just because I do work in the evenings normally. So I will go and operate the military equipment in the evenings, and then during the daytime I'm in school. But when I do have free time, for one, I enjoy doing this podcast. I also really enjoy hanging out with my fiance, and normally our activities are either going to the gym, going down to Sacramento and trying to find stuff to do, or like lately we've been doing a lot of bike riding. So,
okay.
Just trying to stay active, and still trying to travel a lot too. We did a trip to Utah, Colorado for 14 days where we drove through and hiked, and we did like 28 miles and 3 or 4 days of hiking.
Well, there you go. Do you have a greatest fear?
I think my biggest fear would probably be not reaching full potential. As far as like big items, would probably be not reaching full potential. I would say if there was a physical fear, I really hate clowns. A lot of people don't know that, but like I'm not afraid of clowns, but like I don't like them. Like if there was one of these psychotic clowns outside, I would open fire probably. To be honest with you, I carry a gun on me, so I'd probably open fire on it. I just don't feel comfortable with it.
Now, is it the clown though, or is it the person that's
I think
behind the mask?
I think it's the mental psychology of the person behind the mask. For you to put on that kind of outfit and for you to do your makeup and to arrange yourself in that kind of that mindset, I think I just don't trust a person like that.
Right. But so, for instance, though, if right, you have a kid's birthday party, right, and there's a clown doing whatever, yada, like, does that bother you?
I mean, it still makes me feel uncomfortable, but it's not the same way.
Okay.
I'm talking like you go to a cheap circus clown or like the psychotic killer-looking clown.
Well, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, if there's a clown that's just going to be walking down the street, you know, like the clown doesn't scare me. It's the person behind it because, yeah, I don't know what is going on in their mind that they think that that's what they should be doing right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's not acceptable.
Yeah, but I appreciate it because then I know to stay away from them. Because if they weren't wearing that, I wouldn't know.
That's true.
So I'm thankful for clowns.
Okay. Yeah, I would say
in that regard.
Yeah, I would say I'm not a huge fan of them. So if you're a clown, probably don't hang out with me.
Okay, if you had to choose a profession other than the one that you're doing now, what would you like to attempt?
Oh, I'd love to. Honestly, I'd love to be president of the United States.
POTUS.
For sure.
Straight to the top.
Straight to the top. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, that's so unrealistic in the aspects of where I'm at currently in life. But I think that's an office I'd love to hold.
2024?
2028 probably more likely.
2028.
Because I have to run for some sort of office prior to that. So.
All right, so if you had to choose a VP, who's it going to be?
I was debating between maybe throwing in old TJ, but TJ probably be my Secretary of Defense. I need someone meticulous that knows how to kill.
That's true.
I don't know. VP, I'd probably want somebody probably more conservative than me, to be honest, just because like I tend to socially lean very moderate. And even though I'm an economic conservative, like a fiscal conservative,
yeah,
I know on social issues I'm mainly on the moderate side of things. I'm willing to see both sides. And I guess the big thing being a Republican is I would want a VP that knows our voting base more than ever, like the conservative, like deep roots voting base. So I'm still undecided on who my VP would be. You know, I've thought about it. I'd probably have you as my Secretary of Defense.
Got it. Appreciate it.
And I don't know if anybody knows this guy, but Nicholas Nugent, who's from Waco, Texas, patriot, right? He'd probably be my Secretary of State just because he talks really well. He's very articulate, and dude can go into a room with people that feel really awkward, and he's willing to break the ice and make it smooth. So I'd love to see him in a state office capacity.
Okay. All right. So we're kind of getting here towards the end, so let's play a little bit of speed round.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So first thing that comes to mind, just throw it out there.
All right.
All right. Your favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite music?
Probably country.
Favorite artist? Music artist.
Music, period? Just ever?
Music artist, yeah. Favorite music artist?
Probably Rolling Stones.
Favorite movie?
Interstellar.
Favorite book?
Probably Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Favorite television show?
Game of Thrones.
What turns you on?
We're talking like physical parts?
It could be whatever you want.
I mean, I think intelligence and a nice ass, probably.
Okay. Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Favorite sport or favorite sport?
To play or watch?
To play.
To play basketball.
Favorite basketball team?
Lakers.
Favorite NHL team?
Sharks.
Okay, I think that kind of ends the speed round.
No more?
No, I don't really have. I don't have too many more. You were doing fairly good there. A few of those in the beginning that there was some hesitation.
There was.
But then I started kind of,
picking up the pace.
Yeah. All right. So
what about like favorite restaurant? I know yours is Panera Bread.
Yeah, there's so many. There's so many things that we could do. I could make a speed round that probably goes about 10 minutes.
We got to do it, man.
Well, we'll do it some other time where we have more people and we can all kind of play the.
Let me ask you this: we've talked about Panera Bread much, right? I know you love it. You went and got 3 days worth of food from it recently.
Yeah.
So between the deliciousness of the Panera Bread, which is about 13 minutes from you, or the cheeseburger that was a 2-minute walk from our old apartment, what is better? And when I say cheeseburger, we're talking Arco gas station cheeseburger.
Great cheeseburger, by the way. Phenomenal.
Which is better? Which is a better deal?
Oh. man, it's look, when you throw everything out there in that what I would have to do to go get one or the other. I mean, clearly it was just a 2-minute walk. Just to go right out the door, walk across the pool in the apartment complex. Not like Jesus. I walked around the pool, I guess I should say.
I mean, there may have been a time you walked on the water.
It's possibly.
That was before the strippers started coming over.
Yeah, but walking around, just going out the side gate, and it's literally just right across the parking lot.
Mountain Dew would be there for you.
It was just so convenient. And I think it just goes back into that there are the worst things for you, right? The things that taste the best, right, are normally like the worst things for you.
For sure.
And look, I can't pinpoint what it was about these damn things, but it was a combination between just like the bun itself, because I mean they were normally, some way like toasted, a little bit, and then it was just like the greasiness mess. It wasn't really greasy though, like that's the thing. It wasn't like dripping grease, but it was just put together. I mean, it wasn't falling apart. I don't know. It just
have you ever thought about going back to it? Like, have you ever driven past there and you're like, you know what? I don't live here anymore, but I really want to try this cheeseburger again.
No, I mean I've gotten a few at some other gas stations, and it's just not the same. So now what I've been hooked on though is at another gas station around here though. They've got various types of hot dogs that are on the little rollers, and I'll get like 2 or 3 hot dogs.
Which gas station?
It's the one on base.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so good. It's just convenient food, man. I mean, they just, I don't know. Maybe part of it is that I'm not doing too much of that type of cooking, right, to where like I'm cooking hot dogs or burgers or whatnot. Because if I'm going to be grilling, then I'm normally going to be grilling probably a steak.
Yeah. Something delicious.
Yeah. So not having right that type of food on a regular basis. Then it's just when I can eat it, it's just good, right? Because it's just what I guess the fact would be I haven't had a good hot dog, or I haven't had what someone I'd say a real hot dog, or whatever you want to say, right? Whatever you need to go pay to get one from a grocery store. Yeah. So it's like I know basically what a hot dog should be. So as soon as I bite into it, I'm like, yeah, that's a hot dog, man. It's so good. Yeah. And it might be on the lower end, but it's like, well, I haven't had a hot dog in so long, so it's just good, right? It's just satisfying. But I probably will be going over to Panera Bread though after this interview and picking up some food for probably today and tomorrow.
Got to make it to the weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just me, single.
You got Cal.
No, I've got my 2 dogs. I've got my Rhodesian Ridgeback. His name's Caliber. He's about 19, 20 months now, give or take. And then I've got a 11-year-old Shiba Inu named Desi. Don't say R.I.P. man. She's got like at least 3-4 more years.
We can only hope.
More than I don't know if I'd say hope. It's probably going to happen, if not longer. I mean, that breed's supposed to live like 14, 15 years, so it's crazy.
What about last meal? If like today you got arrested by the government.
All right, hold on. Look, this was your interview. We're gonna have to. We can change this to mine at another time, and you can ask me these questions.
All right, that works.
But I just wanted to finish my thought though. So yeah, I don't normally keep too much in my pantry or in my fridge, and if anything, right, So yeah, I will go out and eat a lot, to restaurants or whatever. Yeah, like bring food back, but it's good for me because that way I don't have anything in my fridge, so people can't just eat off me when I have little parties. It's like, hey, sorry, I've got nothing for you. You don't even try to. And if you want to go in and eat some of my like the jelly beans, good luck. Some of them are bad, some of them are good because they're little bean boozled ones. It's funny stuff. I love fucking with people because you shouldn't have went into my shit. Or hey, I hope you choose the right peanut butter, container out of my pantry because one of them's for my dog, One of them's for me. So if you choose the wrong one, you're going to be eating, saliva from my dog. So, sorry. It is what it is.
How selfish is that? They're just going to take Cal's peanut butter.
That's what I'm saying. Well, they might choose they might choose my peanut butter.
Even worse.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, all right. We'll go to now and wrap this up here. This has been a good interview. Any last minute things that you'd like to throw out to the listening audience on who you are or about you or some truth?
At nighttime, I dress up as a vigilante.
Okay.
And I drive an all-black car that's really fast.
Got it.
And I basically arrest villains. Or at least I detain them until the police can get there.
Oh, noted.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody else that I was familiar with.
Who?
Batman.
I'm not saying I'm Batman.
You're not saying you're Batman?
Nope.
Okay. Got it.
But who knows? I don't know who he is. He could be anybody. No. I'm pretty friendly for the most part. Sometimes a little overly social, but yeah, I mean, I'll basically help anybody out that needs it, and I'll talk to anybody that wants to.
Okay. What? All right. My. I guess the last question for you from me is, what have you been thinking about this podcast, man?
Oh, I love it, man. I was listening to your episodes on cohabitation, where you featured Urs, Richardson, Lonzo, and Kate.
Kate, yeah.
Kate. And I thought it was pretty good. Part 1, part 2 is pretty solid. I think Rich really hit it on the nail on that one, as far as the importance of knowing your mate, right, and using that as a time period to get to know each other. So I enjoyed that episode a lot. I've enjoyed a couple of the episodes that we've been on, obviously. Like, I don't want to be biased. I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Good group of cast. I think the biggest thing is, I know we have a good amount of listeners. I'd like to see more people use the Facebook and come up with the ideas, because like, if there's something in particular you'd like to hear from us, we'd love to do that, right? Because then it's an unbiased choice. If you leave it to me, we're going to talk about Vegas nights, we're going to talk about like crazy stories or politics. If you leave it to Will, we might talk about how to get buff, and we might talk about sports. But if there's something in particular the listeners want to hear, it's ideal that they use the Facebook post, inform us, and then from there we'll go from there. Nothing scripted, everything's off the cuff that we're doing, and I think that'd be really cool. But I've really enjoyed it so far, and hoping that people continue reviewing, sharing, just so we have a larger reach.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. Obviously, I'm glad that you guys like to come on and help me out with my. I don't want to necessarily say passion, but a pastime that I'm trying to get into, and obviously it helps pass the
Free
time.
Yeah. You got a good radio voice too.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's I think that's pretty common for a lot of Iowans. Actually, you guys have a history of having a lot of good people that do either broadcasting, sports reporting.
The great communicator got started in Iowa, WHO.
He did. He's not from Iowa though, right?
Illinois.
Oh, is he? Okay, so but yeah, I know.
Born in Illinois.
Born in Illinois, but yeah, I knew he had done sports broadcasting there in Iowa.
That's where he got his big break, though.
Yep, and then came out west to do Hollywood movies.
Yeah, that's Ronald Reagan for those that are wondering who the great communicator is. So.
I'm hoping that we're going to get your dad on one of these episodes. I think that'd be super entertaining for people.
Yeah, there are a few last pieces I got to get to get the call and stuff going. I thought I had it, but then I realized that I was missing a crucial piece, or at least I should say I found out something about the mixer, which is true about all mixers. So I have to change something up. But
well, John the Revelator would be awesome on here, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's mentioned before that he would love to add some comments, with us jokers on here. So
yeah,
we'll see what he has.
He's out here ensuring things are delivered on time and just out here fighting rooskies. He's done it his whole life.
All right. Well, then if you have nothing else, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. All right, so this is Ben Thomas John with Your Views and My Facts. Just interviewed old Rich. Hey, Rich, if they want to ask you a question or they want to get to know you, how can they look you up and find you?
Well, you can actually go to the Facebook at Views and Facts, or on the iTunes at Views and Facts.
Okay.
And I'm one of the administrators on there, so I can either post via that or I can post on my own account. My own account is R_Brown89. No, I'm sorry, it's Richard_Brown at 89 at or at whatever for the Twitter
What?
handle, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm also on Facebook too. Just
Fuck it, just find him on the Views
Yeah.
and Facts main page. And yeah, if you want to start following him on Twitter, then you could just send him a message on there. But yeah, we got a couple administrators that are underneath the Views and Facts main page. So yeah, if you got a question for him, you want to know something else about him, or you got something in common with him, and you want to share a story, hit him up. And yeah, by all means, please like, share, leave a review. Let's try to get some more popularity, and so we can start getting some better topics out there.
we're gonna have gear coming out soon.
Yeah, gear coming out. We're going to be working on some different pens, shirts, whatever the case may be. Probably one or two headbands for old Will, because he likes to karate kid it up. So
Yep.
going to have to make something for him, and yeah, we'll probably try to do some giveaways in the future. Still looking for a name for this room here. So we got to post on our Facebook page where we're asking, soliciting names, and so what we're probably going to do here shortly is saying that we might give out a gift card for whoever we choose. So we'll probably have to re-emphasize that on the page. So again, find us at Views and Facts, Twitter, iTunes, Facebook, any again podcasting application that you can download, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and we will chat with you later. Take care.